good day everybody. So we are here, the first reporter for Module 8, which is the group of Laurel, Monte, Nareto, Manuel, Pacis, and Madamba. So our topic Module 8 is all about the various philosophies of education. So in this module will help us to recognize the views of the major educational philosophies in the three philosophical compelling questions in the field of education, particularly in the teaching learning process, like the questions of why to teach, what to teach, and how to teach. So we are the group that we're going to tackle the topic number 1 to topic number 4, which is the topic number 1, essentialism. The topic number 2 is perennialism. The topic number 3 is progressivism, and the topic number 4 is all about constructivism. So now let's start from the module 1, or the topic number 1, I should rather say, which is the essentialism.
Good day everyone, my name is Wally Laurel from Group 5. For today's topic, we'll talk about essentialism. So what is essentialism? In its most stripped down meaning, it refers to the belief that people and phenomena have an underlying and unchanging essence. As an educational philosophy, it advocates the teaching basic competencies, knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Essentialist educators focus on transmitting a series of progressive difficult topics and promotion of students to the next level or grade. Subjects are focused on historical context to the material world and culture, and move sequentially to give a solid understanding of the present day. So, essentialism in education claims that all citizens should be taught the same basic ideas and skills that belong to a specific culture, particularly at the primary school level. It is done so by emphasizing the teacher's authority in the classroom while ensuring that the subject matter is at its center of the curriculum.
So now let's move on from the three compelling questions from the topic number 1, which is essentialism. And first is why to teach, or why teach. The focus of teaching our education for the essential is to acquire basic knowledge, skills, and values, and to transmit the traditional moral values and intellectual knowledge that students need to become a model citizen. So it's stated here that education for essentialists is that being an educator, you should obtain knowledge or basic knowledge, skills, and values that he or you can spread to the students with the moral values and intellectual knowledge. So we can say that in that way, as a teacher, we can be good as a replica and as a citizens that students may gain from you, which make education as essentials or make the education essentialism. So next is the question that is what to teach. So essentialism tries to instill all students with the most basic knowledge, skills, and character development. Essentialism believes that teachers should teach traditional moral values and virtues. So it is also a basic and or essential knowledge to be taught to students, including reading, writing, math, science, history, foreign language, music, and technology. So the study material on the students of the elementary schools must concentrate upon the basic skills, and as of the secondary school, the curriculum shall concentrate upon the particular discipline that the student is going for. So in here, as a teacher, you should know what you are going to teach to your student, either elementary and secondary schools. But as we talk to essentialism and as a future educator, you have to teach basic knowledge like stated, such as reading, writing, math, science, history, foreign language, music, and technology. While upon elementary schools, the teacher should teach basic skills, while for secondary is teachers should discipline the students that they need for, like having our specializations, for example, like having our specialization when we are in high school from grade 8 to 10, that they taught us for the specific knowledge that we needed, the specific skills or curriculum, which means essentialism on what to teach is to drill into students with the basic knowledge, skills, and their character development. So it means that the teachers teaches disciplines and hard work, and they are accountable for students' learning. And the last compelling questions is how to teach. So in here, essentialists believe in mastery learning. Methods of teaching are are lecture, memorization, repetition, practice or drill, and assessment. So in here, it means that as a teacher, you should also know the way of your teaching. The essentialism in here is that using teaching strategies or mastery learning, such as using a lecture, memorization, or homework. The use of instruction or strategies, or even teacher and subject centered, wherein the role of student is to listen and learn, and the student should trust the teachers, know the best. That means students should be a passive and be ready to learn what the teachers presented or being presented by your students or by your teacher, I should rather say.
So, what are the purpose of schooling? It prepares students to be productive, contributing members of society. For essentialists, the aim of education is to teach the young for essential they need to live well in the modern world. And last, essentialists teach the basic subjects.
So why is essentialism is need to school or in education system? So for student, it is a to acquire basic knowledge, skills, and values. So when we are studying or when we are schooling, we need to acquire or we need to gain the different skills, values, or knowledge that we needed. So as a student, that is our part. And of course, there is also the part of our professor or teachers. And it is to hopefully transmit the traditional moral values and intellectual knowledge that students need to become a model citizens. So our teacher also need to transmit or gain the knowledge that they have, and of course to give or to transmit to their students, which is giving a values, knowledge, and skills for them to be as a good role model citizens. So here we also have a criticism of essentialism in education. So we have here a positive criticism. So it is the stability of education. So means it is the ability to keep learning skills, values, and knowledge. So we also have here a negative side of criticism of essentialism in education. So it says here that students take more the passive role in their education, means that students are only requires learners to absorb, assimilate, consider, and transmit information. That doesn't allow the students to actually or make themselves as to participate inside the class mentally or physically. It means that they're only listening to their teachers without or just gaining without involving themselves on their learning process. So now let's move on from the topic number 2, which is all about the perennialism.
Hi, my name is BhettyMei Nareto from Group 5. I am here to discuss about topic 2, the perennialism. Now, what is perennialism? In education, perennialism is the idea that school curricula should focus on what is everlasting. From the word itself, everlasting, perennialism is about lasting for years, such as solving problem in any era. With this, teaching in a way that unchanging principle becomes critical. The teacher, or what we call perennialist, is a mental disciplinarian with highly developed logical skills, capable of logical thinking and use of reason to students. Teacher must have a benevolent taskmaster and the help to develop skills of the students. Why teacher teach perennialism? The overall aim of this, students should be exposed to history's finest as models or discovery. The goal of perennialist education is to teach students to think rationally and to develop minds that can think critically. A perennialist classroom aims to be a closed organized and well-disciplined environment, which develops in students a lifelong quest for the truth. Next, what to teach in perennialism. Perennialists focus upon fundamental areas such as English language, most likely grammar, rhetoric, geography, history, mathematical, natural science, philosophy, and fine arts. With this, we have 3R, which always signify the formal disciplines, are the essence of liberal and general education, and lastly, the law accomplishments of humankind and emphasize the great works of literature and art, the laws of the principle of science. Lastly, how to teach perennialism. Perennialism typically considered to be teacher-centered, minimally directed through Socratic method of discussions. Why Socratic method? Because Socratic method in order to develop a historical oriented understanding of concepts. Perennialists disapprove of teachers requiring students to absorb massive accounts of disconnection information. A skilled teacher would keep discussions on topic and correct errors in reasoning, but it would be the class, not the teacher, who would reach the conclusions while not directing or leading the class to a conclusion. The teacher may work to accurately formulate problems within the scope of the text being studied. All in all, and to sum up, perennialism is well defined that lasts forever, connected to our history for lifelong quest for the truth of this for the students and for the people around us.
Hey everyone, my name is Sheena Valdez Manuel and I'm going to report all about progressivism. Progressivism is a theory of education that concerned with learning by doing and purports or claims to that children learn best when pursuing their own interests and satisfying their own needs. Progressivists believe that people learn best from what they consider most relevant to their lives. Progressivists center curriculum on their needs, experiences, interests, and abilities of students. It also provokes curiosity in students. So, what is progressivism? Progressivism is the idea that students learn best from what they consider relevant in their lives. Progressivism, students work in groups to learn cooperation and social skills. Progressivism is also important on skills that will help them for the rest of their life, not just for tests. And progressivism, it helps students to formulate meaningful questions and devise strategies to answer these questions. According to John Dewey, believe that people learn best from social interaction in the real world. He also believed that book learning was no substitute for actually doing things. In addition to John Dewey, the foremost proponent of progressivism believed that the school should improve the way of life of our citizens through experiencing freedom and democracy in schools. Shared decision making, planning of teachers with students, student selected topics are all aspects. Books are tools rather than authority. It advocates that learning is rooted in the questions of learners that arise through experiencing the world. It is active, not passive. Why teach? To develop learners in becoming enlightened and intelligent citizens of a democratic society, to teach learners so they may live life fully now.
Curriculum content is derived from student interests and questions, need-based and relevant curriculum. Curriculum that respond to students' need and relate to students' lives and experiences. Essentialist programs are academically rigorous. The emphasis is on academic content for students to learn the basic skill or the fundamental reading, writing, arithmetic, right conduct, as these are essential to the acquisition of higher or more complex skills needed in preparation for adult life. The teachers or administrator decide what is most important for the student to learn and place little emphasis on student interest, particularly when they divert time and attention from the academic curriculum. How to teach. The progressive education philosophy says that the educator should teach children how to think rather than relying on rote memorization. The scientific method is used so that students can study matter and events systematically and firsthand. It advocates the use of experiential teaching like experimentation, problem-based learning, or hands-on projects that allow students to learn by actively engaging in activities that put their knowledge to use. Essentialist teachers are emphasize mastery of subject matter. They are expected to be intellectual and moral subject matter. Essentialist teachers emphasize mastery of subject matter. They are expected to be intellectual and moral models of their students. They are seen as fountain of information and as paragon of virtue. If ever there is such a person to gain mastery of basic skills, teachers have to observe core requirements, longer school day, a longer academic year. Why progressivism? Bring progressivism to the classroom. Students should not just be taught for a test. They should be taught to handle themselves in the real world. School skills are also very important in a society. A teacher should make sure that students are interested in learning. Progressivist teachers teach to develop learners into becoming enlightened and intelligent citizens of a democratic society. This group of teachers teaches learners so they may live life fully now, not to prepare them for adult life. The progressivists are identified with need-based and relevant curriculum. This is a curriculum that responds to students' need and that relates to student personal lives and experiences. The focus on progressivism. Individual growth from within through interaction with a favorable environment, learning through experience, a speculative view of knowledge, natural learning processes and stages of development, and learner as a whole person. Progressivists accept the impermanence of life and inevitability of change. For the progressives, everything else changes. Change is the only thing that does not change. Hence, progressive teachers are more concerned with teaching facts of bits of information that are true today but become obsolete tomorrow. They would rather focus their teaching on the teaching of skills or processes in gathering and evaluating information and in problem solving. The subjects that are given emphasis in progressive schools are the natural and social sciences. Teachers expose students to many new scientific, technological, and social development, reflecting the progressivist option that progress and exchange are fundamental. Goal of progressivism. The goal of progressivism is for students to become intelligent problem solvers. Students will be socially aware citizens who are prepared to live comfortably in the world. The goals of progressivism put into practice pragmatic thought, which essentially means putting thoughts into action. Therefore, we must understand the goals of pragmatic thought in order to grasp the goals of progressivism. Pragmatist education strives to give students experiences to reflect upon. The goal is for students to learn to solve problems and learn to deal with the consequences of their actions.
Good day, everyone. My name is Airan Christian A. Madamba, and I will be your next presenter for the topic 4, constructivism of Group 5. Before we move on to the topic, let us first define what is the meaning of constructivism. Constructivism is a philosophy of learning founded on the premise that by reflecting on our experiences, we construct our own understanding of the world we live in. Understanding is influenced by the interaction of prior knowledge and new events. Each of us generates our own rules and mental models which we use to make sense of our experiences. Learning, therefore, is simply the process of adjusting our mental models to accommodate new experiences. The main key the key point of constructivism is that we as learners or as we teach in the classroom, we give a sense or constructivism explains that each experiences is the one that give us the learning through the learning process which will be giving on the classroom. Right now we are going to move on with the different principles of constructivism. We we have exactly 5 types of principles in the constructivism process. The first one is knowledge is constructed rather than innate or passively absorbed. The second one is learning is an active process. The third one is all knowledge is socially constructed. The next one is all knowledge is personal. And the last one is learning exists in the mind. So, the principles of constructivism deeply explains that constructivism or knowledge is constructed. It is an active process. It is socially constructed, personal, and it only exists in our mind. Why we say constructed and active process with socially constructed? It means that rather than innate or passive, our knowledge comes from the outside, from outside our body. That's what constructivism deeply implies with us. As we go deeper with our topic, the philosophy of education constructivism, we often wonder, why do we even teach it in our classrooms? Well, to answer the question, here's a statement from Honeybain. According to Honeybain in 1996, he summarizes the 7 pedagogical goals of constructivist learning environments. Number 1, it is to provide experience with the knowledge construction process. Or, to simply put it that way, students determine how they will learn. So, a constructivist classroom is, as we say a while ago, it is socially constructed or it is learned by experience. That's why it is the way that the students are free to learn on how they experience the same thing. Number 2, it is to provide experience in and appreciation for multiple perspectives. They begin to know evaluation of alternative solutions. As they learn or find their own way of experiencing or learning the certain topic, they now provide their different solutions in the said problem. Number 3, it is to embed learning in realistic contexts. Or simply put, it is through putting in true authentic tasks. And last, and the number four is it is to encourage ownership and a voice in the learning process. Or simply put, student is centered learning. The number five is to embed learning in social experiences. Or simply put, a constructivist classroom is experience in collaboration within one another. That is why we often said that constructivism is form or learning is through our own experiences. Number six is to encourage the use of multiple modes of representations like video presentations, audio text, and many more. This is simply to put that a constructivist classroom is often using a wide range of modes to teach or to collaborate with one another. And lastly is to encourage awareness of the knowledge construction process. It is done through reflection or metacognition. Simply put, that constructivist classroom is learning or giving a learning to experiences and encourage the awareness of the knowledge construction process. They do not just learn something, they construct themselves, they construct their own self learning and encourage them to be aware of the process if it is effective or not. Now that we deeply know the different principles of, or rather the seven pedagogical constructivist experience in that topic, let us now wonder, what do we teach in a constructivist classroom? The teacher should teach students the assimilation and accommodation style of learning, meaning as they get new information, they then take it into experience. And at that point, they can revise what they have learned and construct a more effective way for them to learn that certain topic. And as we go on with this approach, the teacher should teach the students to cooperate and learn things with new experiences because in a constructivist classroom, people learn through various experiences. Simply put it in words, we as teachers should teach in a constructivist classroom a collaborative work with one another, not just student and teacher relationship, but teacher to teacher, and student to student relationship. Because learning in a constructivist thinking, learning is socially constructed, or it is fun to experience new things while we collaborate with one another. But right now, we understand what is constructivism means and what is the seven principles, or the seven pedagogical, and what to teach inside a constructivist classroom. Now, we are are going to tackle or talk about how to teach a how to teach constructivism in the classroom. Constructivism modifies the role of the teachers so that they help students to construct knowledge rather than to reproduce a series of facts. The constructivist teacher, or rather, provides tools such as problem solving and inquiry based learning activities with which students formulate and text their ideas, draw conclusions and inferences, and pull and convey their knowledge in a collaborative learning environment. To simply put it in words, we can teach constructivism in giving the students a collaborative work through experience, like giving them a problem solving solution and inquiry based learning activities with together with the students, so that they can experience new ideas, new learning backgrounds, and construct their own learning agendas with themselves. To summarize all of the report, constructivism simply means that we are or learning is through the process of a collaborative work, or and learning is through making new experiences with the social construction inside the classroom.